Tonight, an arrest in that days-long manhunt for a CEO killer. Is this the masked man who gunned down the insurance executive in Manhattan?
Officers recovered a handwritten document that speaks to both his motivation and mindset.
The man now in custody and how he was finally recognized hundreds of kilometers away. The desperate search for missing loved ones in a notorious Syrian prison on the ground and from here in Canada.
I need to know if they are still alive.
Plus what we know about the rebel leader who ousted the Assad regime. And Canadian cancer patients facing impossible choices.
I was like, should I get the medication to feel better during chemo, or should I keep the money to pay my rent?
Why they're paying tens of thousands of dollars out of pocket.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrienne Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. A major break tonight in a massive 5-day manhunt. The suspect in the killing of a health insurance CEO in New York City is now in police custody. So this is the man under arrest, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione. Investigators say he was caught hours away, one state over, at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. Well, tonight we're learning more about his dramatic arrest, the evidence found on him, and what happened when police started questioning him. Paul Hunter starts us off.
The video is silent, but there he is, Luigi Mangione, the man at the center of an intense manhunt throughout the U.S., here making a court appearance in Altoona, Pennsylvania, some 5 hours west of New York City. Police now allege Mangione is the person seen in this video with the gun outside a Manhattan hotel at the moment that shooter murdered Brian Thompson, CEO of a giant U.S. health insurance company.
We have a strong person of interest in the shooting that shook our city last week.
Mangione, seen here in social media photos, had been spotted at an Altoona McDonald's. A customer alerted staff who called 911. Local police moved in and detained him, finding with him this homemade gun and this fake ID card. The ID apparently used a few days earlier at a hostel in New York, the same hostel where this image was taken on a security cam of the man believed to be the killer. Police also found clothes matching those of the killer and, significantly,
Officers recovered a handwritten document that speaks to both his motivation and mindset.
the 3-page document reportedly includes phrases such as, "it had to be done," and "the parasites had it coming." Add to that the bullet casings found at the scene of the killing, with handwritten words on them echoing terms used to slam the health insurance industry for too often refusing to pay claims. It's reignited fierce criticism about that industry broadly, and indeed, as police searched for the shooter, with fresh security cam video emerging almost daily, support for the shooter's apparent motivation grew.
You're welcome to join. Never too late.
Contestant number 3.
In New York this weekend, a look-alike contest for the suspect with messaging that mirrored the words on the bullet casings. And on Luigi Mangione's Instagram page, comments have exploded. "You are a national hero," said one. "Where can we send donations in your defense?" said another. And "when you get free, do it again." At a late briefing in Altoona, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro pushed back on that.
In America, we do not kill people in cold blood to resolve policy differences or express a viewpoint. This killer is being hailed as a hero. Hear me on this. He is no hero.
And regardless how he's viewed broadly, bottom line, Adrienne, he is now in custody.
So, Paul, police said the arrest was peaceful, but what more do we know about what happened inside that McDonald's?
Well, high drama. After the 911 call, police, they got there quickly. They walk in, they see him, mask on. They casually ask him to pull it down, and he does, calmly. They immediately recognize him, but they don't let on that they do. He stays calm and cooperative. Then they say, "Have you spent any time in New York lately?" And he immediately, physically, visibly starts to shake. And he stopped speaking with them, and they knew they had their guy.
All right, Paul Hunter in Washington tonight. Thanks, Paul. Syrians are now taking slow, deliberate steps forward after the shocking speed of the rebel offensive that pushed President Bashar al-Assad out. The country's former prime minister has now agreed to hand over power to rebels, and some shops in Damascus are beginning to reopen, but uncertainty hangs over everything. Many are rushing to the Lebanese border to get out, even as others now clamor to, at long last, get back into their country. Assad's rule was brutal and deadly, and many who spoke out against him were killed, tortured, or they simply vanished. As Chris Brown shows us, with Assad out, the hunt is on to find any survivors.
On the first day of Syria's New Start, the notorious Sednaya prison that epitomized the worst of Bashar al-Assad's regime was the scene of desperate searches. In 2014, they told me then that my brother was dead and not to come back, she said. But anguished families clung to faint hope of rumors of secret rooms where their loved ones might have survived. On Sunday, a mob freed those who were caged in tiny, filthy cells. The White Helmets humanitarian workers have helped with the ongoing search, but a volunteer member says sadly for those families, they have found no further prisoners.
The team are working on digging and cracking the walls. Maybe they have something to see and listen, but until now we don't have proof that they are alive and there are people inside.
In the capital, after the initial euphoria, bakeries reopened. There were lines for fuel and for many also a strange new sense of freedom. It's been 50 years during which we couldn't speak nor express ourselves, he said. In the streets, rebels with guns, many of whom used to support al-Qaeda, mixed with civilians with few reports of trouble. Abu Mohammed Al-Golani, the commander whose assault on Aleppo 12 days ago triggered the beginning of Assad's demise, reportedly appointed interim officials to run the government. Now we need to be patient, said this man. The country's not going to get better immediately. In an ominous sign, there's been fighting between Turkish-backed forces and US-backed Kurds, underscoring the unity challenges facing Syria's new rulers. Israeli troops also seized and are now occupying Syrian territory in the Golan Heights, violating a long-standing ceasefire agreement. Israel's government says the move will protect it from hostile forces. Britain's government is one of the first to say it's considering delisting al-Golani's Hayat Tahrir al-Sham as a terror group, possibly removing a key obstacle for dealing with the new Syrian administration. A cabinet minister says the decision will be based on how the group behaves. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
Next, let's bring in senior international correspondent Margaret Evans in Beirut. So, Margaret, you and a crew are trying to get into Syria. Millions of Syrians are also trying to get in. What kind of challenges does this involve?
Well, we have a few bureaucratic issues as journalists, and we want to have an exit stamp to prove we've left Lebanon. But other than that, it's the same as it is for Syrians. What you're facing on the other side are no Syrian border guards. That led to some lawlessness, some looting, reports of shooting on the road yesterday. But once you get into Damascus, you're faced with fuel shortages. So we'll try to bring extra fuel from Lebanon. People don't have SIM cards or they can't put time on their mobile phones, getting cash out of a bank machine. We're hearing the shops are mostly still closed, some bakeries open. And government workers don't really know what to do. Some aren't turning up to work, potentially afraid of being, mistaken for regime supporters. So that's kind of the picture on the ground. And aid agencies warning that, reminding people this is a country that still needs a lot of international aid, 12 million people, in fact.
You're talking about the picture on the ground, but if we step back at the bigger picture, so many unknowns. What's your sense of where things could go?
I think the sense is that this is the opposition forces who want to govern Syria and say they can, are giving all the right signals to the outside world, to many Syrians, saying that they're going to have an inclusive government for all Syrians. But, you know, the proof is in the pudding, and many people will have doubts because the main rebel leader, Abu Mohammed Al-Golani, was in charge in Idlib, where the opposition groups have been, gave a lot of order to that area, but he has a dismal human rights record. So people are going to be very careful as they watch things proceed.
All right, Margaret Evans in Beirut. Thanks, Margaret. Also watching closely are tens of thousands of Syrians right here in Canada. Cam McIntosh spoke with some about what and who they want to see.
Scraping away the first big snow of the winter is a distraction for Kareem Abid.
Frankly, I'm afraid and happy, and it's mixed feelings.
A Syrian filmmaker, he produced 2 films on the Syrian civil war, including the Oscar-nominated Last Men in Aleppo. Most of his family was killed in the fighting. Now he's waiting for word on 2 brothers who he last knew to be here in Sednaya prison, where many went Monday looking to find relatives.
I need to know if they are still alive or...
Take your time.
This regime destroyed everything. Society, country.
Since 2015, Canada has resettled more than 100,000 Syrian refugees. The Canadian government working with private sponsors to bring in plane loads. Zachariah El-Mokdad arrived in 2016. He now owns 2 restaurants. His life is here now, but he plans to support a new government if it's democratic.
So we have to go behind him, and we have to support him to rebuild Syria and bring Syrians together.
Others like Gina Ali Mustafa plan to return.
Today, I have a country that I can go back and build. Today, I do not need to be a refugee anymore.
It's a rebirth of a country. It's so massive.
Rafiq Al-Dahan is cautious about it all.
There's a lot of fears of what's coming up next, but that cannot stop us from celebrating.
Abid is also thinking about Syria's next chapter and his place in it.
I'll return someday, maybe soon, maybe later, just to see what will happen.
For now, he just wants to know about his brothers. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
CBC News and Radio Canada have learned the federal government is eyeing potentially more than $1 billion in spending to strengthen Canada's borders. As Ashley Burke explains, this is tied to Donald Trump's looming tariff threat.
Cabinet ministers seized with Donald Trump's tariff threats, meeting with top officials behind closed doors to hash out a plan.
We're looking at some of the concerns he's raised about the border.
Sources tell Radio Canada and CBC News the government's now considering spending more than $1 billion on the border in an attempt to ease Trump's concerns.
We're going to be more visible. We're going to deploy the assets, the people that we need at the border.
I'm a big believer in tariffs.
In an NBC interview Sunday, Trump said he told the Prime Minister at this Mar-a-Lago dinner to curb drugs going into the U.S. or else.
If it doesn't stop, I'm going to put tariffs on your country at about 25%.
25% tariffs on everything going to the United States would be devastating for the Canadian economy.
Justin Trudeau says his government is still trying to figure out the right way to respond.
In terms of, the actual, people or drugs that are coming from Canada into the United States, it's a very minimal number. But that being said, we're always going to work with our American counterparts.
A source said that work could include changes to Canada's immigration policy, an attempt to curb the flow of migrants to the U.S., and guard against a possible influx into Canada if Trump deports millions.
It isn't necessarily about appeasing Mr. Trump. He has concerns. We have concerns with them. We expect them to be dealt in the context of a mature relationship that will continue to develop.
Sources told Radio Canada the government wants to announce its new border plan by Christmas. That means whatever cabinet decides could be in the fall economic statement that comes out on Monday. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
A former U.S. Marine has been acquitted by a New York jury in the death of a fellow subway passenger who he put into a chokehold. The verdict is being both praised and condemned.
I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts.
Daniel Penny argued he was protecting himself and those around him when he subdued Jordan Neely, who was agitated and threatening other passengers. The chokehold lasted about 6 minutes. The jury found Penny not guilty of criminally negligent homicide. Well, tonight, we can reveal how a months-long undercover FBI operation led to the arrest of a student in Ontario, now accused of planning an ISIS-inspired mass murder in the U.S. Thomas Daig now with what we've learned.
We've come to the last known address of an alleged ISIS supporter accused of planning a mass murder. Days before his dramatic arrest in Quebec near the U.S. border in September, Mohammed Shahzeb Khan purportedly shared this picture obtained by CBC News, saying in a text he's locked and loaded. New court files reveal more about the months-long FBI investigation into Khan. Born in Pakistan, he came to Canada on a student visa at age 18 last year, then allegedly hatched a plot to open fire at a Jewish center in Brooklyn.
Hi, it's Thomas Daig calling from CBC News.
All of it leaving his former landlord shocked.
Police in the U.S. say he was an ISIS supporter and was planning a mass murder in New York City.
Oh my God. I think he was quiet. He didn't really used to talk to anyone that much.
We've learned last year a confidential informant spotted a series of Facebook posts that he reported to the FBI, including this graphic of a disassembled rifle. Later, using an encrypted messaging app, Khan allegedly wrote, "If we're successful, this is going to be one of the largest attacks ever on Jews outside of the Israeli territory." But all the while, Khan was actually chatting with undercover officers.
We work with our partners in Canada to arrest Khan before he could carry out his deadly plot.
Khan is being held at this Quebec jail as the U.S. requests his extradition. He's facing up to 20 years in prison. But Khan's lawyer suspects investigators lured his client into all of it.
My impression that it was a victim of entrapment by police officers in the States. For sure.
The U.S. wants Khan to stand trial on a charge of attempting to support ISIS, a designated terrorist organization. He's scheduled to appear in a Montreal court next week. Thomas Daig, CBC News, Toronto.
Family members are speaking out after the shocking killing of an Edmonton security guard.
I can't sleep. I've been really thinking about the dangers of my job.
The calls for better oversight and training next. Plus, the huge costs Canadians are paying out of pocket during cancer treatment.
I was like, should I get the medication to feel better during chemo, or should I keep the money to pay my rent?
The new report and the calls for greater support. And later, the holiday spirit goes underground. The commuters who got a little Christmas cheer. We're back in 2 minutes. Real chaos in the Philippines today after Mount Canlaon erupted for the second time this year. Schools were shut as a precaution, and people within a 6-kilometer radius evacuated out of the area. There were no immediate reports of casualties, but several surrounding communities were hit with ashfall. Well, grieving relatives of a 20-year-old security guard shot and killed on the job are among those calling for improvements in training for those in the field. Julia Wong looks at the widespread shock and a caution. This story has distressing images and details.
Security camera video appears to show how quickly things escalated in this Edmonton apartment building last Friday, the last moments of Harshandeep Singh's life. 2 people, one with a gun, are seen approaching the 20-year-old security guard. Another security video appears to show he was pushed into a stairwell, then shot in the back. Both videos have been circulating on social media. Edmonton police say they are aware, but decline to comment. 2 people have been charged with first-degree murder.
It's unimaginable. It's it's not something that we can really fathom as how the family is going through this.
Singh was from India. He had been in Canada for 18 months and wanted to be a police officer. A family spokesperson said he had only been on the job for 3 days and wasn't even supposed to be working that day.
He was actually covering for someone on that third day, and he wasn't originally scheduled to work.
Grieving relatives wonder why he was there.
Harshandeep was placed there, was deployed there with zero training, with no partner, no equipment to defend himself.
I can't sleep. I've been really thinking about the dangers of my job.
This security guard says he used to patrol the building where Singh was killed.
That building is bad. It is known for problematic issues. It is heartbreaking to know that that man died alone and it could have been prevented.
If you're that new and by yourself in a high crime area, I think that's just unfortunately, a recipe for disaster.
In many provinces, you only need to do 40 hours of coursework to become a security guard, and it can be done online.
I would like to see more on-site drills, more on-site practice in that sense, giving guards a sense of what is it like to be stressed.
We reached out several times to the company Singh was working for, but did not hear back before deadline. Community members are working together to return Singh's remains to his family in India. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
A new report is highlighting the great financial strain on Canadians fighting cancer.
Not everyone is fortunate enough to have family that supports them.
The staggering out-of-pocket costs many are facing. Plus, Syrians in Canada have been watching as the regime of Bashar al-Assad was swept from power over the weekend. I'll speak with two who fled the war about this emotional moment and their hopes for the future. And who is the rebel leader behind the breathtaking events in Syria?
Al-Golani is certainly not a Democrat. Let's be very upfront about that. He's an authoritarian.
The National breaks down the story shaping our world. Next.
The Las Vegas showgirl.
Pamela Anderson is among the Canadians nominated for a 2025 Golden Globe. She is up for her performance in the drama The Last Showgirl. Martin Short is nominated for Best Actor in a TV series, musical, or comedy for Only Murders in the Building. And the musical Emilia Perez, about a Mexican drug lord who undergoes gender-affirming surgery, led the way with 10 nominations. Well, beyond the physical and emotional struggles that come with cancer treatment, a new report out tonight shows the financial toll it can take on a patient. Jennifer Yoon shows us why many are paying tens of thousands of dollars out of pocket.
When Vanessa Percoco was diagnosed with advanced colorectal cancer at 31, she expected to take time off work. What she didn't expect was that fighting the disease would be so expensive.
Medication, colostomy bags, going to the hospital, the gas, the parking tickets.
Throughout 2 years of treatment, she paid more than $4,000 out of pocket for prescription drugs alone and struggled to pay her bills.
I was like, should I get the medication to feel better during chemo, or should I keep the money to pay my rent?
A new report from the Canadian Cancer Society suggests she's not alone. Across Canada, patients and their loved ones spent approximately $7.5 billion in 2024 on cancer-related expenses. Out-of-pocket costs include transportation, medical devices, drugs, and more. All this adds up to an average of approximately $33,000 per patient.
This is not felt equally. Fixed income individuals in rural and remote locations can really feel this impact and this burden.
Some say it's a wake-up call.
We need to have some very serious discussions about this to ensure that we have equitable access.
Many patients who can't afford extra costs turn to fundraisers. On GoFundMe alone, thousands of people are looking for help, paying for housing, travel costs, or treatments that aren't covered by Medicare.
Not everyone is fortunate enough to have family that supports them, or or have a community that is able to provide that extra support.
Experts are hoping this report starts a conversation and gets policymakers to take action so cancer patients don't have to rely on the generosity of others to fight the disease. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Bashar al-Assad's sudden fall from power, a rebel leader's new promises after a violent past, and Syria's uncertain future.
This moment presents a historic opportunity, but it also carries considerable risks.
But first, celebrations on the streets after a half-century of Assad family rule. Tens of thousands killed, millions forced to flee, including to Canada. Earlier, I spoke with two men who found safety here about their hopes for Syria. Amr Al-Faham and Amir Fatal both arrived in Canada in 2016, and they're with me here now. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Amr, I'd really like to start with you, and then Amir, we'll talk to you. Where were you when it sank in for you that the Assad regime was done? And I'm so curious what your first thoughts were.
So we were mesmerized in front of the TV. I told my wife, this is so exciting, I'm gonna make myself popcorn. I was just like, sitting watching, and suddenly this video came from a group of young women in the heart of Damascus, parking their car in front of a tank, and playing loud music of the revolution, the Syrian revolution. The song says, "My home is my heaven," and I told my wife, I dropped the ball and I started crying. I said, "This is in the middle of the city. This is the Umayyad Square, in the middle of the city," and I started crying.
It's over.
It's over.
What about you? Where were you?
There is no words to express our feeling. I was at the market at that time, and my friend in Germany, he just sent me a message with one word. He failed, and I drove back home, and personally, in the last few days, I was expecting to see this moment, because we see at the first time his father and the Bashar al-Assad statues fell down, and the people, just kind of take over all the cities. So I found this is very important moment, and I went back home, and I could agree with my friend Amr. I got this moment with tears, and I couldn't believe it. We know there is a killer criminal regime to take the country for more than 50 years. And this is a very unique moment. And this is a new chapter in the Syrian history. And we're witnessing that. As we witnessed the war, now we're witnessing that those family, they are just out. And there is no way to have a place in Syria.
Both of you have lives here in Canada now, rich, full lives here in Canada. But as we know, everyone has been asking you, is this the moment to go back? What is the push and pull about whether this is a time for you to go back?
It's a very important question. I think it's too early, to take this decision whether to go back or not, because the regime has just fallen, and we don't know what the aftermath would be. It looks so far so good. We're cautiously ecstatic.
Cautiously ecstatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's good to keep an eye and see what's going on. On one side, of course, this is the first time I told my wife I can call Syria home again, because for the past since the day I left, it used to be called Syria al-Assad. They used to call it Syria al-Assad all the time, as like they own the country, like it's their farm. And like we're the animal in the farm. But now it's called Syria, and it's no more Assad no more. So I can call it home. At the same time, I have kids who were born here. I've got twin boys. They were born, raised here. And the 8-year boy here arrived when he was a couple of months here. They know just nothing but Canada. They were raised as Canadian. I told them, listen, this is where you were born, this is where you're raised, this is like where you belong.
I mean, I know you're wearing the flag of Syria over your heart. Right?
Yeah.
I know how much it means. I also know you have a family here. How do you explain to your daughter, for example, the meaning of some of the images we're seeing?
Yeah, we had, unfortunately, we had this discussion during the last 10 days. And even we had many discussions before, but because now we see the events in Syria, we had those kind of discussions. It's very important for the kids to know that we born with with that kind of regime, the killer and the criminal one. It's important for them to witness that now we can, rebuild the country again. Even I have my family here, but me personally, I can go back and I can do something there. I think our responsibilities as a Syrian, the people who grow up at that soil, to just, share our knowledge and our experience with this new future to Syria. I think this is a responsibility and duty.
What are you hearing from friends and family back in Syria?
I have my sister there, and I have many relatives. They are so worried, but I don't think they are scary like before. But now they are worried what will happen next, who going to lead the country, what will happen to the future of their children. I think it's just mixed feeling. At the meantime, they go to the street. They practice their freedom rights. They can say freely that Assad regime has been gone, and they can, now choose their next government. So I think this is very unique. And many Syrians, they told me, including my friends here in Canada, we hope that we were in Syria at this very moment, and so we can, get this kind of news. When you both came in, you said congratulations to each other.
Yeah.
And I wonder, do you feel like that is a feeling that will hold, or do you see this as a temporary moment? Are you nervous about what's ahead?
I don't think, I hope, I'm not going to say I don't think, I hope it's not a temporary moment. This is what we can be at the moment. We can be hopeful, and now it's time to look back and try to help as much as possible with all what we can. Yeah, but I cannot, I can say that we just work all together to make a pluralist Syria, and hope that the rebels will not seize the power, because even if myself I'm given an absolute power, I will turn it into a dictator. So this is what I am hoping for, and that we should be working for. But at the same time, you know what, for 13 years we didn't give up. And I openly spoke against the regime, and I couldn't go back home. And I was always worried about my parents' safety, and because the regime might have retaliated against my parents. So I really don't care. And Syrians don't care. You will see this in our eyes. We will rebel again if anything happens. So that's what I'm always thinking. Resting my head on, yeah.
The rebel forces are on notice then, as far as you're concerned, that the Syrian people won't take another dictatorship.
No, I don't think they will allow this to happen again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amir, shukran, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
The stunning turn of events in Syria has placed an international spotlight on Abu Mohammed Al-Golani. Ella Morrow explains his rise from radical jihadist to rebel leader.
After commanding a lightning offensive toppling the regime of Bashar al-Assad in just 11 days, Abu Mohammed Al-Golani is set to be a major player in Syria's future. The leader of insurgent force Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, Golani has spent years trying to transform his image from jihadi extremist to a more moderate leader for all Syrians, an evolution that will now be put to the test.
Even though Abu Mohammed Al-Golani has spoken about reconciliation, the group itself still harbors a lot of concerning ideological views.
If Golani is smart, and he is smart, he's quite smart, he will reach out to other groups and say, we need to have a meeting, we need to start bringing people together.
I think the Islamists have
evolved over the years, at least in their messaging. We need to see HTS continue in this policy to prove that they are moderating as they claim to be.
Jolani's rise to power starts in Iraq. That's where he joined al-Qaeda in 2003, leaving his native Syria to fight the U.S. invasion. Jolani was detained by the U.S. military for 5 years in Iraq before returning to Syria. Eventual ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi requesting Jolani establish an al-Qaeda presence in Syria just as the country was descending into chaos. Back on home soil, Jolani formed Jabhat al-Nusra, or the Nusra Front, the militant group quickly becoming one of the most powerful fighting forces in Syria's civil war, and designated a terrorist organization by many Western nations. The U.S. to this day has a $10 million bounty on Jolani.
Jolani is certainly not a Democrat. Let's be very upfront about that. He's an authoritarian.
As Syria's civil war intensified, the Nusra Front became more powerful. So did its leader, Jolani defying orders from al-Baghdadi to merge his group with ISIS. In 2016, in this video message, Jolani severed ties with al-Qaeda too. The Nusra Front was later dissolved, merging with other groups to become HTS.
Even though they may have uncoupled from al-Qaeda, they haven't totally abandoned some of their doctrine that would be a worry for minorities, for women, and also for the West's interest as well.
Jolani has tried to stem those concerns. Consider his public appearances. This 2013 Al Jazeera interview refusing to show his face, calling for Syria to be under strict Islamic law, dismissing the country's minorities.
We sat down together.
To hear, nearly 10 years later, a suit jacket on PBS calling for an end to the terrorist designation, saying his group posed no threat. Jolani, now in military fatigues, promising to protect all of Syria's diverse communities. Jolani preached inclusivity during the group's stunning offensive, HTS issuing statements to reassure Syria's Christians, Alawites, and other minorities.
My take on it is that the Islamists, led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, are really showing maturity. They want the Syrian people and the international community to accept them. They are trying to reassure the Syrian people. No harm to minorities, no revenge.
But for now, there's little sign that terrorist label will be lifted. While welcoming the end of a brutal dictatorship, Western leaders are expressing trepidation at Jolani's newfound power.
They're saying the right things now, but as they take on greater responsibility, we will assess not just their words, but their actions.
After Assad fled the country, Jolani met with Syria's deposed prime minister, discussing what comes next. Jolani's actions now set to chart Syria's future. Can he unite a fractured country? Will his promise of pluralism prove real?
All in all, we have to wait, but for the moment, let's join the Syrian people in this moment of hope and rejoice with them because they finally feel they are free.
So as Ellen mentioned, Abu Mohammed Al-Golani is keen to reinvent himself, and part of the new path seems to include dropping that nom de guerre and embracing his real name, Ahmed al-Sharaa. Coming up, Donald Trump is threatening tariffs on Canada, claiming it's not doing enough to stop fentanyl from flowing into the U.S.
It is extraordinary to think that anybody could read any of the data that are available and think that Canada is a threat to the U.S. with respect to fentanyl.
Katie Simpson looks at what Trump may really want next. As Ottawa strategizes on how to deal with Donald Trump's tariff threat, new promises are emerging to beef up security along the border. That is because the president-elect has tied his threat to the import of fentanyl. Katie Simpson talks to experts in the U.S. who question how big a problem that is to begin with, but who also have advice for Canadian lawmakers looking to appease an incoming administration.
One of the biggest takeaways from the Mar-a-Lago dinner for the Canadian side, how serious Donald Trump is about trying to stop the flow of fentanyl.
I said you have to close up your borders, and drugs are pouring in. Almost as importantly, drugs are pouring in, maybe more importantly,
The president-elect's broad complaints about drugs, lumping problems at the northern and southern border together, have frustrated officials in Ottawa.
Local enforcement or federal enforcement.
And we found in Washington bewilderment among some experts at a conference focused on the fentanyl crisis.
It is extraordinary to think that anybody could read any of the data that are available and think that Canada is a threat to the US with respect to fentanyl.
According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, less than 20 kilograms of fentanyl was seized along the northern border with Canada. Compare that to more than 9,000 kilograms at the southern border with Mexico.
The main source of the fentanyl is outside of Canada and the United States.
And that is?
It's through a collaboration of people in China and Mexico. So that puts Canada and the United States together, sort of on the same side.
So if it's not about fentanyl, what might Trump really be after? According to one of his allies, he could want Canada to make some sweeping changes.
If you don't go after the money, you can't stop drug trafficking.
David Asher led a Trump-era task force on fentanyl. He says Ottawa needs to toughen its racketeering laws and give authorities bold new powers to go after banks involved in money laundering, some of it comparable to the Patriot Act in the U.S.
So Prime Minister Trudeau has the power to fix these things. I think if he goes ahead and announces that he's going to pass new laws and introduce new laws first that address these gaps, it'll help with President Trump, I'm certain.
So when the day comes...
At the fentanyl conference, there is some agreement about Canada needing to deal with broader challenges.
Well, Canada is grappling with significant organized crime issues.
Vonda Felbab-Brown has spent her career researching the illicit drug trade. She sees opportunities for Canada to act.
Countering the money laundering that takes place through Canada is important. It affects both countries, it affects other countries. So, those issues are very real. The flow of fentanyl isn't.
Trump was not specific in exactly what he wants to see from Canada or Mexico in order to avoid those 25% tariffs. Ottawa has already promised more drones, helicopters, and more resources along the border.
As we reported earlier in the show, sources have told CBC News that Canada could spend more than $1 billion on border improvements, a major announcement said to be likely before the holidays. Up next, Toronto's public transit gets a taste of the Christmas spirit.
Someone special.
How they hit all the notes and a few extra in our moment. So this is from a Christmas sing-along in a pretty unusual location. It happened over the weekend when a group of friends did a bar crawl and burst into infectious melodies. So this attracted, of course, the attention of commuters, some even joining in on the holiday cheer. And tonight, this group of festive friends makes our moment.
We all love Christmas. We're all a bunch of guys that are quite busy. I decided to start every year to do a Christmas bar crawl. The whole idea, honestly, is to travel throughout Toronto. Some guys, put on their Santa Claus outfits. Some guys have like elf ears on. They have like this big old sound box with us, all commuting the whole time.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Honestly, the majority of the songs we actually sing are all like Christmas songs, even though some of us don't know the lyrics, and I'm really bad at lyrics, to be honest. We just sing along and we have the spirits going on. We'll like have people be like, where are you guys going? Can we come join you? And we're like, you can join us, but we have to just remember you got to be respectful, of course, because, with a larger group, things could get pretty intense. The whole entire train is singing, or the whole entire TTC station is literally joining in. I think it says a lot about how much we care about each other. It's a friendly bunch, I would say.
Yeah, it's a big group. There were 34 of them, and this might not surprise you, but they befriended a few bartenders over the course of the evening who then joined them at the end of their shifts. So this sort of got a little contagious here. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.